Hello from St. Christina's. This is Carver. I put some audio files and some pictures together for you just so you can get a little appreciation of our loving family here. Enjoy the show.
Starla Ventier, aka Scribe, patient file number 281. I know that Starla Ventier is housed here because her parents send mail weekly. The only issue with this is that my duties as group therapist and counselor. I've never met her. Her parents speak highly of our services and seem to think that we provide the best possible care for their daughter. I can say without a doubt that I've never met her or know who she is. Her parents tell me that she's healing nicely despite having carved disturbing words into her own flesh. This baffles me because I would remember this sort of mutilation and it doesn't fit the pattern that porcelain has shown. I think there might be a cell with a patient in it, but for the life of me I can't seem to remember where it is. I found notes in a file today talking about another patient who would only talk about a prophetess named Scribe. I know of no patient here with that nickname, so maybe Starla is Scribe. I'll try and accompany Starla's parents on their next visit. That's odd. I have this empty file folder with 30 or so post-it notes reminding me to do just that.
So you've met Scribe, and you've met Simon. Near as I can tell, Scribe was once a beautiful, blossoming poet who was wooed by her professor, Simon. When he got bored of her, he sent her out to Eastern Europe to a small little area where the mad were worshipped and not a lot of visitors come back from. Well, when she was there, she was kidnapped and chained to this metal construct where she was tortured and abused for 3 days. On that third day, her mind snapped and she started spouting this mad poetry that drove half of the insane sane, and the other half into such a fervor they destroyed the entire town. Every last soul. Dr. Metzger was on sabbatical in this region and heard of this girl, and somehow safely brought her back to where she's housed here at St. Christina's. Now don't fret. She managed to hook up with her professor, ex-lover, and she gave him her own little brand of revenge. But don't ask me how she does that cool little bounce around the cell thing. Seems that she's got a little bit of a misunderstanding with time and space. Don't worry. I'm sure that she'll only visit you if she really needs to. Simon is what you would call a soft sociopath. His deceased wife was driven insane by him so that he could inherit her fortune, which let him bounce from student to student in his university gig until he found Scribe. And well, the rest is history. Now, I don't really like the guy, but you gotta respect him for getting the whole thing started.
Simon Graves, patient file number 454. He signed himself into our facility, obviously having suffered some sort of psychotic break. He spends little time actually answering questions, only saying how he, quote, wants to be close to her, end quote, and that he must, quote, send them to her, end quote. He's obsessed with drawing around people and objects, and has caused some difficulties with other patients. He'll often sit outside of one patient's room in a fugue-like state. Other times, he will stare intently through her window and talk in quiet tones. It has been hypothesized that his deteriorating mental state is one that began with the death of his wife. However, none of us have been able to figure out what his connection is with this patient that he seems so obsessed with. Perhaps they had some connection previously. Jane Doe, aka Biter, patient file number 271. No birth name was ever given to this patient. For record-keeping purposes, she is listed as Jane Doe. Biter is incurable in her affliction. Due to the horrors she suffered throughout her entire childhood, the only hope we have is to house her separately from other patients. Her mother used a file to shape Biter's teeth into points and chained her in the basement, locked away from all human contact. The only contact Biter had with the outside world was when her mother would kidnap children from surrounding communities and put them in the basement with Biter. This was how Biter ate. Biter's mother was arrested as she was the suspect identified in many of the kidnappings. It was only after her arrest and the warrant served on her home that Biter was discovered. Despite repeated attempts at rehabilitating Biter and trying to give her some sense of empathy for fellow humans, we have yet to make any progress. In fact, she has refused all foods we have offered her. For some time, she was getting food from a worker who is now housed in our facility, but her health has remained, and she is not showing signs of hunger. We do not know where she is getting her food, or, more importantly, who her food may be.
This one here we call Biter. Don't let the good looks fool you. She's a peach. Her mama fixed her up perfect for us, even if she didn't know it then. I know where she gets her food from, and who, so please, keep moving in an orderly fashion, keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times, and, don't look behind you.